Hey guys, let's talk about last night's season finale of Arrow. And I enjoyed it. There were some things that I enjoyed, there were some things that I thought were just okay. So let's get right to it. So, of course, we know that Oliver has now become Al Sahim, and he is, with Ra's al Ghul, and he has married his daughter Nissa, and now they're on a plane and they're heading to Starling City so that Oliver can release this Alpha Omega virus and destroy his city. But of course, we all know in last week's episode that Oliver really isn't under the you know the he's basically faking the funk. He's not going to really turn out to be the son of the demon. He is just trying to pull the wool over Ra's al Ghul's eyes, and he sabotages the plane, which then ensues into this pretty awesome combat fight between Nissa and all of some of the members of the League of Assassin and Oliver versus Roz. And it's a pretty cool, intense scene. And then he basically jumps out of the plane with the virus and he's like, deuces. So that was kind of cool. And then, of course, Oliver and Nissa try to take the plane down safely and they crash it, but they end up getting away unscathed. Where they return to the lair, or at least I believe they're at Robert Ray's building now because I think the lair got destroyed or whatever. So I believe they're in Ray's offices, and they show up, and of course Nissa's ready to go to gang war, and everybody draws their guns and their weapons, and it's a moment of a little bit of panic, and then we have Diggle punching Oliver out because, of course, he's cheesed. They all wake up. Of course, he dropped the serum in the cage, in the cell where they were, and they all, were to believe that they were all going to die. Obviously, we knew they weren't. And apparently, Malcolm Merlin had given them a vaccine, which was made up of Oliver's blood because he was given that vaccine 5 years ago when he was on the island, so that he wouldn't fall victim to the serum or the bioweapon. And so they made, some skin grafts so that he gave it to all of them. He basically saved their lives without them even realizing it. So, they get there, Oliver's there, Diggle punches him out. He has to explain what was going on and that he had to basically, make Roz believe so that he could be on the inside so that he would know how he was going to try to destroy the city. I mean, it was all good. It was all fine. And then, of course, Felicity points out, well, how are you going to come back and tell us the story if you were going to be on the plane and bring down the plane with the virus and Roz on it? And he's like, yeah, well, I wasn't going to come back. So, of course, once again, she's cheesed with Oliver, rightfully so, that he was basically going to kill himself to save everybody in Starling City. So, they realize that they've got to try now to stop Roz because he's out there with this serum and he's going to try to take down the city and he's going to try to drop this virus in 4 points of the city. And when they realize that there's a guy there that is a big enemy of Roz's, and his name is Damien Dark, and that they believe that he was going to use the virus to try to take down his nemesis and not just try to harm people in his city, but he was also using it to try to take this guy down as well. So they try to track him down. It doesn't really work. Now they have to try to go out there and solve this problem on their own. So, we've got everybody in their designated locations, and they're going to try to stop this virus from spreading. What they don't realize is that there's actual people in the league that are basically like suicide bombers. They've got the virus in them, and they are willing to spread it that way. So if they die, then they're able to spread the virus out to thousands and millions of people. So they have to somehow take down all these people before they are able to spread the virus. It's pretty cool. It's nice and intense. And then, of course, we have some scenes with Laurel and her dad. And, she basically calls him out for being a drunk and she's trying to get him to stop drinking. And then if he really wants to be upset and, not try to save the city, he can go ahead. But if he really wants to make his daughters proud, he would stop drinking. Of course, this whips him into shape. He goes out there and tries to help solve the problem, not be part of the problem. So he sees Oliver and Roz fighting on this bridge, And he calls Felicity and he's like, look, I know your dude isn't really the bad guy, but it looks like he's trying to save the city, but he's in this huge duel right now. And so, of course, this is the duel that we've all been waiting for between Roz and Oliver. And, it's a good fight. It's a good duel. It's pretty intense. And then Oliver gets the best of him and he stabs him and a couple times in the chest. And that's pretty much the end of Roz. And he says that little saying that Roz had said to him when he was on the mountain. And he, draws the knife out. He gives him a ring, or Roz gives Oliver a ring or something. And then somebody shoots Oliver. And just as he's falling back and about to fall over this bridge into what looks like Duns River, like Niagara Falls, he, obviously we think it's Ray that shoots down and saves him, but really it's Felicity. She took the Atom suit and saved Oliver. So that was kind of cute. It was nice to see that she was proactive in this episode as well and not just, harping on Oliver. But the scene before that was interesting when Felicity was said to Ray, can you go save Oliver? And he's like, well, do you want me to help save millions of people here, or do you want me to just save one person? And then the scene cuts and then we see Oliver get saved, and it's actually Felicity who does the dirty work. So when they were also trying to save everybody, we saw Speedy come out, which is, of course, Thea's new nickname, because she's now taken over the red suit that she was going to give to Roy, and she's now taking it on, and, her new name is Speedy, or what, really not new, but she's going to now become part of the team, and there's nothing Oliver can do to stop it. So, she wants to be part of the heroes and help save the day. So that is pretty much what happens. And then, of course, in one of the scenes that Oliver and Felicity had, he was like, I have this dream that you and I rode off into the sunset. And, every time we did that, something happened. And at the end now, after he basically takes down Roz, he basically comes back to the lair and tells everybody, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to hang up my suit and I'm going to ride off into the sunset with Felicity. And I was like, really? Is this really how it's going to end? So, yeah, that looks like how it's going to end for those two. Riding off into a little convertible down some windy cliff. Great. And of course, in other news, we have Malcolm Merlin taking over as Ra's al Ghul, and he's now going to be the head of League of Assassins, and Nyssa has to kneel to him? I mean, come on. How ridiculous was that scene? I was like, really? Is this really what Nyssa gets? Why doesn't Nyssa get to be the head? Why doesn't she get to be the demon head? Why doesn't she get to be the new Ra's al Ghul? Like, it's ridiculous. Now it gets to be Malcolm Merlin just because Oliver hands over the ring to him? Like, what? That just seemed really stupid. So I didn't really like that ending at all. But everything else I liked. I liked the scenes between Diggle and Oliver. When Diggle basically says, I don't know if I'm ever going to get over what you did, but, we can work as a team going forwards if that's what it's got to be. And so now that Oliver is basically taking off, it looks like everybody else is going to work together to help still, keep the city going. And, Laurel has definitely stepped up in my eyes this season. I like who she's become. And I hope that they continue with that thread next season. And now that Thea's in the mix, taking over Roy's role, that'll be kind of cool too. So, it was a pretty decent ending. I personally would have liked if they had continued the thread of Oliver, being Elsa him, and we, us still not knowing by the end of this, because it was such a huge buildup. Him fighting Roz on the cliff, and then him coming back and being, saved by his boy there, Miseo, and then coming back and then being told that, them almost killing his sister and then having her be reborn and all that kind of stuff. And then him being taken there to, like all the stuff that happened. And then, 2 episodes later, and he reveals that he's been faking the funk the whole time and that he's not really going to try to be in the League of, take over the League of Assassins. I kind of personally would have thought it would have been way more interesting if they had not dragged, but let it carry out to the finale. We go into next season still not sure because he's done all of this stuff. And then, how does he repair the damage that he's done with the team in next season? I felt it just was too quick. They did all that, then they just turned it around in an episode and a half, and I was like, meh. All right, I guess. So, yeah, that's that. Okay, guys, that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, the season was all right. I mean, I really, really, really enjoyed season 2. I thought they did a great amount of stuff with all the flashbacks and everything that happened present day. I thought all that stuff was so good. And for this season, I thought it was, it was all right. Like, I thought it was good, but it wasn't as great as last season was. So let's see what season 3 brings. I'm excited to see all these new characters. I like that we are starting to get some stuff about what's the new CW shows for next season, and I got to see some sneak peeks into what is going to happen with the new show that's coming out with a lot of these heroes. And just before I go, we obviously know what happened with Ray at the end of this episode. He is still tweaking his Atom suit, and he's working on this way to make the suit shrink. And when he presses the button, it doesn't work. And he's like, oh, why do things always have to be done twice or something like that? And then he hits it again, and then the whole top of the building explodes. So, of course, that's a good little cliffhanger for him. But let's face it, we already know that he's going to be on another series next season, so I can't wait for that to come out. Okay, guys, that's really it for me. Oh, and the other thing is, we all know that Sarah's character from this show died, and then, of course, her sister has taken over her role, and she is now going to be appearing on the other series, so it's very cool that we got to see how that twist turns and how she is going to still be alive. So, she's no longer going to be Black Canary on this series, and she's going to be something else on the other, and I cannot wait till that show premieres next season. So that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you thought of this season finale of Arrow, and I will see you next time when the show returns. Okay, bye.